This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details. Fan.
And boom!
Common man, no show prep, no solid plan. Spins a yarn, or cans a tale. The esoteric approach won't fail. Tune in, it's time for Common Man. Common man, charms the housewives like no one can. What'd you shoot? Where'd we play? Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in, it's time for Common Man.
Lucky? Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, hello?
Sometime when the team is up against it and the breaks are beating the boys, tell them to go out there with all they got and win just one for the Gipper.
Huh?
I don't know where I'll be then, Rocky said, but I'll know about it. And I'll be happy.
You guys are going to criticize whatever you want to criticize.
Time for two more questions, guys.
How about a beer? Touchdown! Vikings!
Quarterback Quandary.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Game plan looks like.
got him.
And he's loose! I'm pulling my tickets!
I'm going to say something controversial here.
Tuesday night.
Let's play!
Question number 1.
I want to win, and I want to win now.
Yeah, Rosie.
That was probably Zimmer being Zimmer.
Throw a fastball, I'ma strike a mile.
I'm going to say something controversial here.
We're the state of hockey, and I think that proves it. So
We can't start winning until we stop losing.
How do you like me now? How do you like me now?
He's the clown from Brown. He's the 4th in the North. This is the common man, Dan Cole.
Grum begins in 5, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Greetings, good afternoon, ack-ack-a-dack, and dack-dack-a-ack to you and yours. I'm the common man, Dan Cole. Radio Dinosaur, La Brea Tar Pit, Cold Dead, Rigor Mortis Laden. Beginning of the end, middle of the end, end of the end. If it's the middle of the end, is it the beginning of the middle of the middle, or the end of the middle? And then how long does the beginning of the middle of the end last? How much is the middle of the end last? And the same goes for the end of the middle of the end. Right, that's what I'm saying. It's a little of this, it's a little of that, with the emphasis on the Latin. And there's so much to get to. Peek at the purple. I'm reading some things nationally that are basically saying it's wide open in the NFC North. We didn't know that here. We hadn't quite figured that out yet. Wide open in the NFC North. Aaron Rodgers says this is it. He's doing it his way. One more season. And then he's, well, a little bit of an asterisk, and then it's off into the wild blue yonder. The Twins lose again, closed circuit to the text messenger that was bitter with me he goes, we're only 2 games out of the wild card. We're now 3 games out of the how's that going for you?
So we're now 3 games out of the wild card. No Durant.
By the way, not only 3 games out of the wild card, but there's now multiple teams, right? It's one thing to just have to be 3 behind one team.
Right. Yeah, that's not what I'm getting to. I'm getting to the spin the wheel of topic.
I know.
We don't have Durant, but we still have Ant. We won't have Durant,
but we still have Ant.
With all of those topics to get to, let's spin the wheel of topic. Not sure where to start today. Don't get too excited. I think it's going to land on Aaron Rodgers.
Commons golf game.
Again, don't get too excited if you're expecting Keegan Bradley-like results.
What did you shoot today?
83.
Where'd we play?
Presswick, Wedgwood, and Woodbury.
Where'd you hit it on?
I hit it right at the gut.
How far from the green were you?
I had an 8-iron in my hand.
Second shot?
I knocked it on the green.
Right or left?
Right.
Then what?
The birdie putt stopped like 2 rolls short, but that wasn't...
Incredible.
I don't really even care so much about the score. It was just I hit a good drive, decent iron shot. I made a nice effort at it. And then it just... If I could play golf, like Tenna likes to just move it out of divots. That's the rule he'd like to change. Me, the rule I'd like to change is you get to hit 2 balls every hole. Because if I could do that, I could score. Because like on 2, I hit a nice drive, and I did have a hybrid. It was into the wind, so I had a hybrid into the green, and I blocked it right, and missed the green right. I dropped another ball and put it right in the middle of the green, like 15, 20 feet from the pin. It's like, why didn't you do that the first time? And then the best example of it, well, 2 others, but on 4, par 5, right? I hang on to the drive. It hits one of the branch on the overhanging trees, and it kicks out into the fairway. Got a nice break. Now, under Tenna B's rules, no, wait, that's still okay. Wait, but if it bounces off a tree, why should I be rewarded anyway? So then I tee up another ball, and I just crush it. Perfect drive right up the middle. And the wind's at my back on this hole, so it's a beautiful drive. I go up and I play my original ball, and I come over the top again, and it's like awful. Just not any good at all over the left rough. I go to my second tee ball, and I just crush a hybrid right up the middle. So then I go to my original ball that's now I'm getting confused. I don't know which is original anymore. Trust me, I know which one's the original. It's the bad one. I got 182 still out of par 5, right? In the rough. No! And I hit as good a golf shot as I've hit all year. It's over the green. I hit it so well, and it's in that back bunker that's behind. But, I mean, I just absolutely destroyed it. Now I go to my other ball. The second one I played, I got 9-iron, and I hit a beautiful 9-iron into about 15 feet. Hit an okay bunker shot with my original. It gets on the green. I 2-putt for bogey. Go to my second ball that I played. I got 15 feet with a big left to right break and just drop it right into the middle of the hole for a 4. Why don't I do that the first time? What's wrong with me? Why can't I just relax and make a nice smooth swing? And I did par the last 5 holes today, and a couple were pretty, a couple were ugly, and the other one was just okay. And I don't mind an ugly par now and again. It really doesn't bother me at all. But I'm beginning to think it's the beginning of the end of my golf career. Now, it's the beginning of the beginning. It's not the beginning of the middle. It's not the end of the middle. I think it's at the beginning of the end. So we'll see how it goes. But
can I ask you a controversial question?
Yes, absolutely.
If I was able to hit 2 balls in every shot,
yeah,
could I break par?
I think you could.
Wow.
Or you would get close. Now, that depends. Do you get to go to each one? The thing is like let's say your first drive is
OB.
Is really bad. Your second one's good. Then are you playing your second ball
I get to pick,
all the way?
I get 2 shots every spot. I get to pick what ball. No. Then every time I go to take a shot, I get 2 from that spot.
Then I think you could.
It's like a 2-man scramble by myself.
Yeah, I think most people could.
Okay.
Well, not most people. People that, can hit good shots most of the time. When I say good, I just mean acceptable shots. See, I'm not even looking for brilliance anymore. There was a time the club was my brush, the ball was my paint, the course was my canvas. Ask people that play with me. I was a hell of a player for a short, squat, unathletic, over-the-top swinger guy, right? I mean, that was okay. I'm just trying to make solid contact now. But yeah, if you got to play 2 balls, I don't see why there would be an issue with that.
Okay.
Number 10. Block my first drive right, put a second one on the tee, right up the gut, right? I go to that one that's right up the gut, and I hit a pure as the driven snow 6-iron, and it's like a foot from going in the hole straight at it. It's like, why didn't I do that the first time? But I didn't. But that's neither here nor there. What is a very controversial. By the way, someone just sent a text message that says, Player B is always one hell of a player. And he is. It's funny. Player B is always one hell of a player. Oh, even a better example. So now I'm on 8. You know 8 at the Wick, right? Force carry over the pond. But it's not a very, it's not a long drive. I mean, sometimes you talk yourself into hitting into the water just because it is force carry, right? I hit a really nice drive into the wind, so it's strong. But it's in the middle of the fairway. I got between wedge and 9 into the green. I decided to hit a 9, and of course, I hit it really good. And it goes over the green into the rough.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, that's not where you want to be.
No, and because you know how it's kind of a middle pin, middle. So but I'm pitching out of the rough to that, and it's lightning and it's downhill, right? I flubbed the first wedge. It goes about 4 feet and lands on the fringe. I'm not making this. You think I'm making all this up? I take another ball out, drop it down, chip it. It goes in the hole. I made 6 on the hole.
You've got to be kidding me.
Had I made the shot, the one that I hit the second time, if I'd done it the first time, I would have saved myself 3 shots. Now, I will say the ball was traveling pretty good. If it didn't hit dead center on the pin, it probably goes over the green. But nevertheless, that's the game of golf, Tenna. You're getting ripped, by the way, for something you said yesterday. And I want to bounce it off of you and see if you can defend. It has nothing to do with golf.
It's not the divot controversy?
It's not the divot controversy in any way, shape, or form. And we do have, I'm just telling you, it's a controversial show today. We got plenty to get to, including, how about this? We're going to try to put some money in your pocket. Tenna B has got a keyword for us.
The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. You just have to enter the keyword check at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. The keyword is check. Enter now at KFAN.com. Bucks is back on KFAN. We have 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday. That's every hour from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. To enter the keywords and learn more, head to KFAN.com. Bonus Bucks is presented by BigDeck.com.
13-14 pass, Common Man program. I'm Common. He's Tenna B. The legendary one, Mark Rosen.
Oh, boy.
Will join us just before 2 o'clock today. Time now for Peek at the Purple, brought to you by our friends at Affordable Electric. Affordable Electric celebrated National Electrical Safety Month. That was the month of May. And Affordable Electric's free home evaluations were a big hit, but Affordable Electric believes electrical safety and energy readiness is a year-round priority, so they're extending their free in-person electrical evaluations through July 16th for homeowners who own and occupy their homes. Free evaluations on every qualifying call, up to 15 minutes of minor troubleshooting during the visit if needed. Visit affordable-electric.com, affordable-electric.com, and remember, it is shockingly affordable. CBS Sports, Cody Benjamin writes, winning the NFC North. Reasons the Bears, Lions, Packers, and Vikings can claim the division crown. Let's start with the Chicago Bears, Tenna B. Caleb Williams has a legitimate foundation on which to grow. The number 1 pick of the 2024 draft was like a hamster on a wheel for much of his debut season, spinning and sprinting to make something meaningful of Chicago's chaos. Now the gifted gunslinger. I'm going to start referring to him as the gifted gunslinger. I love the alliteration. The gifted gunslinger has a fortified front featuring all-pro guard Joe Thuney. Is it Thuney or Tooney? Do you know? Do we know? Do we have any indication? I don't think we do. Plus another multi-purpose outlet in Luther Burden III alongside DJ Moore and Adunze. Is that how we say his name?
Rome Adunze, yeah.
Rome Adunze. Well, do we know that that Luther Burden 3 is a multi-purpose outlet? Because is he a rookie?
He's a rookie. He was first-round pick.
Okay,
but no, second round pick, so early second round.
Usually second round means you're probably going to be okay, but that remains to be seen. On top of that, new coach Ben Johnson brings a widely respected balance of aggression and play design to the sidelines. If only Johnson can get his lineups on paper talent to translate in between the lines, there's no reason Chicago shouldn't up its win total by at least a few games. Yet, their prediction for the over-under, fourth place finish, 7-10. So he's not real confident that any of that is going to happen. The Kitties, Danny Campbell still oversees many of the NFL's best pure playmakers. Detroit's coordinator turnover isn't something to overlook. Johnson and Aaron Glenn, instrumental voices on Campbell's staff, bringing energy to both sides of the ball. Between Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams out wide, Sam Laporta at tight end, and a front featuring sturdy bookends and Taylor Decker and Penny Sewell, Motor City promises to remain home to track meet style fireworks, and that's saying nothing to Campbell's own fiery brand of aggression. Barring a total meltdown from Jared Goff in the pocket, this team has the unteachable manpower to light up scoreboards. The projected over-under win total is 10.5. CBS Sports predicts 10-2, 10-7 for a second-place finish.
Ooh.
Second place finish.
Above average at that.
Green Bay. Jordan Love is a deeper, healthier supporting cast. Remember at the close of 2023 when the young quarterback had moments of Patrick Mahomes-esque flair? I don't remember that. Do you remember that? I don't remember anything late in the season that reminded me of Patrick Mahomes from Jordan Love. I like him. Matter of fact, I've been high on the kid. His loose cannon of an arm had Green Bay surprisingly scrappy in the playoffs to end his first year as a full-time starter. All signs point to a big rebound at Curly, where Love's gifted arm can now feed an offense that added two weapons in Matt Golden and Savion Williams, if that's how you say it, and still features the bruising Josh Jacobs on the ground. If the pass rush ever truly comes alive for Jeff Hafley's defense, we might be talking about a big game contender here. Not just head coach Matt LaFleur's fourth career NFC North crown. Projected over-under win total 9.5. Their prediction 11-6 and a first-place finish.
Oh, my gosh.
They're picking the Packers to win the division. Has he lost all credibility? Because he was going okay there with the Bears early. Minnesota Vikings. Kevin O'Connell is a master at maximizing talent, and he'd better be, considering the bet they're making under center. Everything except quarterback spells a surefire playoff run in Minnesota. The all-star weaponry, headlined by Jets and J.A., the rebuilt front anchored by new big men Ryan Kelly and Will Fries, and the exotic Brian Flores-led defense with versatile hitters at every level. It's just that J.J. McCarthy, the cool but unproven successor of departed journeyman Sam Darnold, is set to take his first NFL snaps against one of 2025's toughest schedules. Fortunately, O'Connell is a winning motivator, squeezing 35 tutties out of Darnold in an MVP caliber stretch from Kirk Cousins before that. If he can just keep McCarthy's head high, helping the youngster control the rock and pace of play, this could be a sneaky contender. Projected over-under win total 8.5. Their prediction 9-8 with a third place finish.
You've got to be kidding me.
Records aside, can you? I mean, I guess I could make the argument. You could take all those teams and throw them in a hat and pull them out one by one. And even if you selected the Bears, I could, if I squinted my eyes and tilted my head just right, I could see maybe the Bears, if things went right, winning the division. Packers, Lions, Vikings, Bears. I'm not sure I agree with that. That's not to say the Packers couldn't. The Packers, as a matter of fact, the Packers had 11 wins last year. All their losses were to really good teams, but that's the problem. They can't beat the really good teams. So are they a really good team?
Well, and the Vikings are one of those good teams that was beating them.
Yes, exactly.
They're now being predicted to finish worse.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So you when you can't beat the really good teams and you're padding your record, your 11 wins on some of the And again, we talk about this all the time. Each team is not responsible for the other team's rosters and game plans, and they don't conduct their drafts or anything like that. But I do think it will go down to maybe not the final weekend, because again, I don't have. Do we have the schedules yet? Have they released them completely? Did we already do that once?
Opponent.
Yeah, but we haven't done. Do we know every week now?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. We did that in May.
I forgot about that. So I don't know if it's going to come down to the final weekend, but I believe I believe all four teams are going to be in contention late in the season. I do.
I could see all four taking a step back just because their schedules are much more challenging this year. You got to go through the NFC East, and do they have the AFC West? Is that who they have? Or no, they got the AFC North, right, with the Ravens and Bengals and Steelers. So I think their scheduling is a little more challenging this year for this division than it was last year. I think what I find interesting is Las Vegas sports books and columns like this never want to bet on unproven quarterbacks, ever. Right? Like the reason the Bears and Vikings are listed third and fourth in this division setup is because we technically don't know how their quarterbacks are going to perform. Caleb Williams is unproven. J.J. McCarthy even more unproven. We haven't even seen him in a regular season game. None of these outlets will ever, it's even reflected in their Super Bowl, or I should say their big game odds. It's reflected in every power ranking and division prediction that's ever been put out there. No one ever wants to bet on unproven, inexperienced quarterbacks until they've seen it.
Yep.
So that's really what's happening here.
Yes, I think
I think we all know that if the Vikings get competent quarterback play, the rest of the roster should be pretty set up for a successful season.
I concur. And there's your peek at the purple, brought to you by our friends at Affordable Electric. Affordable-electric.com is a place to go for all of your electrical needs. We'll try to get Tenna going. Somebody tried to box Tenna up today. For something Tenna said yesterday, tried to box them up. We'll do that. Plus, we'll take a look at those Wobegon twins. What an effort yesterday as they lose again and beaten badly. And Bailey Ober looks like it might be over for Bailey Ober. But we'll talk about those topics other side of the break. The Common Man program on the Fan.
Want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program? Make your voice heard on the Brad, Sean, Brian text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
Couple 13-14 pastime common. He is Tenna. We were talking golf earlier. We don't broach that topic very often, but I do occasionally like to talk about the sweet science. And we talked about if you could hit 2 golf shots every hole, what would you score?
Yeah,
that would be most golf clubs have men's clubs, right? They'll do like a Wednesday 9-hole, and they'll have their Saturday morning, and they'll have all sorts of different events. I've always thought of 2 other events, Tenna, that I thought would be interesting. You have a 2-day tournament, right? Saturday and Sunday, and you take the best score from each hole, and that's your 1-round total. So in other words,
sure.
Let's say you make bogey Saturday on number 1, but you make birdie on Sunday, you get to take the birdie for your total score. Now, let's say on number 2, you go double the first day and double the second day while you're stuck with a double. But
change the strategy up a little bit, right?
Certainly.
If you triple bogey a hole, you're going to be like, wow, I just play conservative here.
Right, exactly. So and the other one I thought would be fun is, they have those big cup tournaments where you have a great, it's about the size of a manhole cover. I always thought have 3 pins on each hole. 3 holes, right? So like
sure.
At the front, the middle, the back, and scattered around. And you don't even have to call it. You just hit your shot to the green, and whichever one it's closest to, you play that one, if that's the one you choose to go to. If you like let's say the one you're closest to is a tough downhiller, and the one you're furthest from is more of an uphiller, left to right. You might choose to go the one that's further away, but still, you just get to choose the hole you go to. I think that
Why
would
don't you
be
run
fun.
one of these tournaments?
I don't know. Maybe I should.
Do a
Maybe
KFAN tournament.
Maybe we should do a KFAN tournament.
What's the one you do at Chamonix every year?
Shot my knee. We do the Moniker Open.
Yeah, why don't you do that for the Moniker Open?
Maybe we
suggest it.
I don't know if I could get everybody to agree, but it is my tournament, so I guess I probably could. Do you like both those ideas? Just something different.
Yeah, I like it.
I think they're interesting.
You're like Live Golf, coming up with all these new ideas.
That's exactly what I am. I am like Live Golf. So, Tenna, let's see if what your response is to this. This came in to comment at KFAN.com at 5:59 last evening. Says, subject line, get Tenna going. And then it says, comment. We're just listening to the podcast from today's show. Tenna talking about him never trying coffee. Said at first the smell of it, but then cited and then, as you've probably noticed, things people are addicted to, I try to stay away from. There's something in my personality that doesn't like that, right? You don't like things that are addictive.
Yes.
Then about 10 minutes later in the show, Tenna brags about the Vikings odds he got for the bet he threw down in Vegas 2 weeks ago. So Tenna avoids coffee because caffeine is addictive, but Mr. Value Bet doesn't see a problem with gambling. I'm pretty sure gambling addiction is slightly above caffeine addiction when it comes to occurrences of addicts. Get him going, comment. Reel him in during tomorrow's show. Point out his responsible aversion to alcohol, multicolored galaxies of uppers and downers, screamers and laughers, and importantly, caffeine. Then ask, what does gambling fit into your aversion of addictive things? Well, Tenna?
This isn't my open, but can I play it anyway?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, step right up and see the Harry Houdini of radio, Dan the Common Man Cole. Watch as he escapes being boxed in by listeners, celebrities, or even Tenna B. Step right up and watch in amazement.
No, this will be amazing. Talk your way out of this one, Tenna B.
Every other form of addiction he's talking about, whether it be coffee, drugs, alcohol, smoking, every other form of addiction is putting something into your body. Sports gambling, I'm not putting anything in my body.
He's done it.
Well, it's still addictive and can be dangerous.
I'm not addicted to it because it's different than putting stuff in your body.
That might be this.
Don't you think there's a difference in terms of addictions?
An addiction is an addiction. I guess you can't, if you want to make that. I think it's a distinction without a difference. Or is it a difference without a distinction? I think it's a distinction without a difference. I mean, you can make that, but you can still become addicted because, like, I think with caffeine, it kind of gives you a little burst. I think when you're gambling, the dopamine, is that what it is? You get excited about it. I've got money bet. You're watching a game, and when you win, it's a euphoric feeling. So I think there is something that it physically triggers you. And I think if I had to be addicted to one, I'd rather be addicted to caffeine than I would. I'm having a cup of coffee right now as I speak. Notice I'm shaking. And oh, guess what? Sugar is super addictive as well. That's what they say. You know, matter of fact, that's why they say that the food industry puts a lot of fat and a lot of sugars into I had a sandwich the other day at a restaurant. This is unsolicited. Have you heard of Southern Social?
I think I've heard of it.
There's one in Woodbury. There's one in Eagan. There might be a couple of others. They have a Southern twist. Their specialty is like chicken and waffles. I've never done the chicken and waffles thing, though I've heard it's spectacular. That's from down south. Apparently, chicken and waffles is a really good thing. But this sandwich, Tenna, was called the Boss Hog Grilled Cheese. It was grilled cheese on big, thick toast. It had pork belly meat, bacon, and some kind of, it's called comeback sauce. Do you know why they call it comeback sauce? Because it'll keep you coming back for more. This thing had to be 9,000 calories. but it may have been one of the greatest sandwiches I've ever had in my life. And it's that fat and that comeback and that little bit of candied bacon with a little bit of sweet thing makes you want to come back for more.
The things that taste the best are the worst for you.
You are absolutely spot on. So anyway, that is neither here nor there. The Twins got destroyed again last night. By the time I turned it on, the game was over. It's one of those where there was always a great line about the fight game, Tenna. If you thought that it was going to be like two knockout artists facing each other, it was like, don't get up to go get a Coca-Cola, because when you come back, that fight might be over, right? Don't blink. You might miss it. Ober gave up, I think it was 6 runs in the third. They lose 11-2 to Seattle. Apparently, according to Bobby Nightingale, is the beat writer, Fish Wrap Factory West Side. Bailey Ober sat at his locker by himself. Several Twins hitters, after they went hitless in 7 at-bats with runners in scoring position over the first 3 innings, huddled for a chat next to their indoor batting cages with the team's hitting coaches. They're trying to talk it out, figure out what's going wrong. Bobby goes on to write, there are more than 3 months left in the regular season, but it's slipping away from them. The Twins have lost 10 of their last 11 games. They now own the 4th worst record in the American League. It was the 4th consecutive game Twins pitchers gave up at least 9 runs. 4th consecutive game that they've given up at least 9 runs. And it all started when Pablo Lopez went on the injured list. It's almost like him going on the injured list. It's coincidental, I get that, but as soon as that happened, the rest of the starting staff and even most of the relievers have just crumbled. They can't find the plate. They can't get hitters out. They can't work out of jams. They can't go deep into games. Baldelli said, it's been a little on the repetitive side lately, not playing complete ball games, just simply not playing winning baseball. We know that, but I'll say it again. You have to walk around with your shoulders back, your chest out, and continue the way you know how to work and prepare. If you're good enough in this game, it does turn. It's going to turn. The problem is, maybe they're not good enough, right? I mean, you say if you're good enough, it's going to turn. And yeah, it will turn, but how much is it going to turn? Is it going to do would a 180 be? Do you want to do a 360 or 180?
360, you'd come all the way back to where you are.
Yeah, so they want to do a 180.
Yeah.
Well, can they do it? I mean, do they have it in them to pull a 180? I'm not sure they do. That 13-game winning streak, we do that that open during 5-3-4 where it's trend or mirage. That 13-game winning streak is starting to look more and more like a mirage than a trend. Would you agree? I mean, it's... I don't even know.
Because they started off slow before then.
That is correct.
They just might be a streaky team, which is why I guess you can't completely rule them out, because they might be able to pull off one of those 13 game type winning streaks, or winning 11-12 for a stretch. That just might be who they are.
Well, I like your theory because it is possible. But if you're talking about a value bet, I'd bet that they're
probably not likely.
Yeah, that it's not going to happen. I don't see it. Here's what Ober said. It's pretty frustrating. It feels like they're sitting on stuff or know it's coming. Just because I'm not used to the types of swings on some of my stuff. Maybe they're adjusting and now it's my turn to adjust back. I feel like it's just one inning every single time. And the rest of the game, it's fine. He entered June with a 3.48 ERA. And he has yielded 27 hits and 23 runs over his last 4 starts. Now, if the Twins had options, he would be optioned down to St. Paul, but they don't have any. He's still, Joe Ryan is now, and you could have made the argument that Ryan was even the ace of the staff with Lopez a close second, or flip-flop that, or equal, because they both, they have different styles, but they're both really good, right? They both perform very well. They've been the 1-2 punch. They've been the old Spawn, Sane, pray for rain. They've been the Spawn and Sane of this team. But even Joe Ryan's been having his struggles, and it's
Well, I knew with Bailey Ober specifically, it was just his previous start, the one at Cincinnati, where he went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 4 runs on 9 hits. And all of the PR after the game was, man, we really think Bailey found something here that it was almost like they were trying to pump his tires up a little bit. I'm like, man, this is not a good sign if he had that performance. And they're trying to play it off as if, hey, he figured something out. And then his very next start, which was last night, was more of the same.
Yeah. Yeah, and you had even talked about, you saw that piece on Maddox where he threw a pitch to, who was it he threw a pitch to? And he hit the home run.
Jeff Bagwell.
Bagwell. And then it was all to set him up for the playoffs. Allegedly, that's the story. And I'll take his word for it. So it is a game of adjustments. As a matter of fact, the Twins were so concerned about it that they had Cologne start, that opener thing. So instead of having a closer, you have an opener. And Cologne was to pitch in the first inning and then turn the ball over to Festa so that Festa could, in theory, go deeper into the game because the fear, and there's something to it. We talked about this yesterday with the numbers. Now, I don't know if this is accurate for every single pitcher on every single team in the league, where the deeper you go into the game, the batting average of the opposing pitcher tends to go up. Because they're sort of, they get a feel for how you're pitching, what your stuff is like that day. And maybe I think another factor would be you start to get gassed a little bit. I'm not saying that pitching 6-7 innings of a big league game is anything like running a jackhammer out on 494 for 8 hours a day, but there's a little bit to it. I remember the first time, this was years ago now. Do you remember this bit? It wasn't even a bit. I saw an outfielder, what I thought he was pulling his cell phone out of his back pocket. I thought he was checking his phone during the game, and I came back on the air on Monday. It was a Sunday game, and I came Monday, and I just ripped him and say, what is he doing? And then I think it was you or somebody said, Common, that's a little card they have in their back pocket that checks tendency. I thought he was pulling his cell phone out of his pocket.
To align, yeah.
That's what I thought he was doing. But yeah, so tendencies with pitchers, tendencies with hitters. You pull that card out and go, let's see, Tenna B and the 3 home run rule tends to check his swing when he's up at the plate. So, they have these tendencies of all these players. And so,
well, you mentioned this all kind of turned around the wrong way once Pablo Lopez got injured.
Yeah.
And we talked about at the time of clearly the player you're now going to put in the rotation instead of Pablo Lopez is not at Pablo Lopez's level. So you have a loss there, but then you now also have a loss in that Joe Ryan and Bailey Ober and Chris Paddock, these guys have a lot less margin for error. And you can't afford for them to go through slumps, which is what Bailey Ober through the month of June is doing here. He's slumping big time. You can kind of get away with his slump a little bit when you have a Pablo Lopez in the rotation, but when a Lopez isn't in the rotation, you're dealing with the Simeon Woods Richardsons of the world and the David Festas of the world. Bailey Ober has to be a top 2 starter in your team, and he's can't do it, nor can anyone else. And then it taxes your bullpen, and now your bullpen's pitching more innings. So then when they're taking, you can have a starter that does well. They haven't had a start in a while that's been a good start, but it's just the snowball effect of now they're feeling pressure. Every single guy when they go out there, and if they have a bad inning and you start to get the here we go again feeling, that's just, the whole thing is just snowballing on all of them right now.
Yeah. And it doesn't, I don't see any end in sight, but,
well, you need one good start. You need someone to come out there and be a stopper.
Yeah. I'd like to believe that, but I don't think with this team it's going to matter. The addiction conversation that we had is really starting to it's controversial. Let's Let's take a look at a couple of text messages. This one says, this is shocking. Tenna is right. There's actually somebody that said Tenna is right. Tenna is right. There is a difference between physical addiction and psychologically addicted. Physical addiction means you have a physical withdrawal effect and get sick. For example, alcohol and hard drugs are physically addicting. Psychologically addicting, while still powerful, will not result in physical withdrawal symptoms. Marijuana, while still a drug, is only psychologically addicting. To Tenna's point, gambling is also psychologically addicting. Right, but then there's this one. So what's the more dangerous addiction? Coffee, where there are numerous studies on the many health benefits of having a cup a day with no harmful ingredients included, literally beans and water, or gambling, where there are numerous studies on the psychological, emotional, and financial dangers of spending big fat stacks of iHeart provided cash where Tenna could go bankrupt and disrupt the future of each of his precious children. I'll stick to my $4 cup of coffee. If you go to Scooters, it's only like $2.73. I mentioned Scooters the other day. There's one right over by Keller Golf Course.
Yeah.
I could have swore that it was like $2.73 for my large cup of coffee. So there's a lot of varying opinions on this. Here's one.
It's very controversial.
Here's one. That's exactly what addicted people say. I'm not addicted. That's what they say to me. I'm not addicted. Of course they are.
Well, the state won't even allow me to become addicted, so
yeah,
it's really not open for me to be able to be addicted in this state. I'd love the opportunity.
Let's see. There was another one here that I really liked. This was a really good one. Give me 1 second. I'm getting so many of them, and again, go ahead, do it again. Here's one. A guy I know was terribly addicted to caffeine. He kept relapsing. Took him multiple stays at the Betty Folgers clinic to finally kick the habit. The Betty Folgers clinic. Yeah. You're familiar with it, Betty
the best part of waking up.
Is Folgers in your cup. Do you know what the saying from Maxwell House was? Good to the last IV drip. No, good to the last drop. Yeah. Having a cup of coffee right now.
Seem addicted.
When I was on the road with my brother doing comedy, he just hated it. You get on each other's nerves after a while, as you and I both know. I mean, I'm always on your nerves. I don't know why. I'm just a calm, cool, and collected kind of a guy. But like when we would be driving, I'd drink coffee and I'd always do this. You see, I said I'd go. That would get to you after a while, day after day.
I can see that.
Driving down the road, trying to loosen your load with 7 women on your mind. Well, I don't know if we'll ever come to an answer. I will admit I'm addicted to caffeine. I am. I don't think I could. They also say that if you are a coffee drinker, and you try to go cold turkey, you'll just get excruciating headaches. That it's when you're withdrawing from
because you're physically dependent on it.
Yeah, that you get these awful headaches. But I'll never know because I like drinking my coffee. I mean, I gotta have one. You know, what do they call them? Habits, but that's not the word I'm looking for. You have to have. I wish I could think of them. I wish I had a better memory. Is what I really wish I had. Is there something you can take to make your memory better? I have to have one foible. I will go with foible. Could you look up foible? Foible. I don't know if foible means a mistake or it's a flaw. I have to have a flaw, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I have to have a flaw. And if that's the worst flaw I have,
A minor weakness or failing of character, a slight flaw or defect.
yeah, that would be me drinking coffee. I mean, it's a failure. It's a flaw in my character, I guess. Let's do this. Let's pause when we return. Tenna B will grill me with some questions. Generally, they're sports. And he has, as always, he has a tease for us. Tenna.
We officially say goodbye to Glenn.